I know that when I'm in an environment where I can say, frankly, this is what's going on. I'm calling out what I see.
Hmm.
I see that this organization does need to change, but I also see that there's resistance to it. And I also see, just being in an environment where you could just say those words without being fired, or maybe
Hmm.
being fired, but like say those words as you're going out the door and have them heard by someone who's can do something with them. That is the way to create a safe container for this light and to make the light build almost like a light bulb is a container for this the light that is happening, but it's also protecting the outside from, getting a shock. So that's an important piece of this in terms of how to. But the other important piece of this, I think, is to remember this came into my head, and it is Martin Luther Jr. Uh,
It is Martin Luther Jr. King
King
Day
Day,
here in the United States. Yes.
and
Hmm.
he has
Hmm.
this great statement that I took a picture of and I pulled it up because it's on his memorial in DC. Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. In other words, you're not on the winning side if your only activity that you could do is pull out other people's light. That actually diminishes you because no one actually feels good unless they're able to have their light shine freely. So it diminishes you and it diminishes the other person. And so the only way to actually win, like if you want to think about this as a game where you can win, the only way to
Hmm.
actually win is to support light and yet
Yeah, but
protect the surround from sort of the harshness of what can happen when that light, it can be tied in with like egoic ventures, right? Like I want to take down this company and and that this is my light and it's like, or this organization, it's like that's an egoic venture. That's not about the light. It's about co-opting this idea
So I've
to
never
try to
heard that phrase
drive
before.
change.
I've never heard that phrase before,
I
Juliet.
just made it up.
Well, but I like it. Egoic venture. Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
but in so here's an interesting point, Julia, because if you look into the current state of the workplace in general, I wouldn't say that it's a positive workplace in itself, right? I mean, if you look into the levels of overwhelming, of exhaustion, of depression, of non-motivation, not being motivated or
Do you mean
involved or
like on
whatever.
average? You mean on average is
On
that's
average, if you look,
yeah.
if I, for instance, there's one piece of a study that I always look every single year, which is the research that Gallup does on the so-called concept of employee engagement.
Mm-hmm.
Over the course of the last 23 years, it's been appalling how the
Yeah.
number of the percentage of engaged employees, so people who are committed to bring that light to the workplace, worldwide is a meager 15% on average, right? So that means that there are 85% of the active working population whose light has been taken out by whoever. Probably, we all know who this whoever is, right? And then the actual question that I have, or reflection that I have, is that whoever, I don't think that they want to give people light to shine at the workplace, because right now the current status quo is working for them really well,
Yeah.
right?
So I think, Julia, I mean, I agree with you that from a physics point of view, it does make you weaker to kind of be a vampire. Eventually that's problematic, but they don't know that.
Right.
They just
Right.
haven't internalized that. And the one thing I
Right.
also wanted to add,
Agree.
please,
Agree. Agree.
since you mentioned employee engagement, I once wrote a thought piece for Deloitte where I noted that the percentage of employees who felt engaged at work was actually lower than the percentage of Americans who believed zombies were real. And
Well,
so
that's why zombies are
But
so popular, is because
but here's,
we should have zombies at work is the next book.
but here's I actually think we have them, right?
Yeah.
yes,
And
exactly.
they're usually attached to these devices.
Yes, uh-huh.